Experience demands that man is the only animal which devours his own kind, for I can apply no milder term to the general prey of the rich on the poor. Thomas Jefferson, 1787. Welcome to the revolution. Hello and welcome to We Need a Revolution. My name is Kevin Rosenquist. Thanks so much for being here. As always, I am joined by my glorious co-host, John Banks. John, it's good to see you as always.
It's great seeing you, Kevin. This may be our last time. Seems like we're heading into World War III or IV, or I don't know. Is that maybe, yeah, seems like the world's going crazy. So this could be our very last podcast. It may end in the middle. Who knows?
Every podcast could be our last podcast. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
That's true. Yeah.
Thanks for being here. So, please subscribe to our channel if you're new here. We very much appreciate that. We do these episodes live as well. So if you're able to jump in here and be here live, feel free to engage in the comments. Tell us how we're doing. Ask some questions. We're happy to ask them of our guests, of ourselves, whatever it was appropriate for that particular question. We'll take care of it. John,
give Kevin a lot of compliments. It really builds self-esteem.
My fragile ego is in need of some help. Yes. So yes, if you have anything, I would very, very much appreciate that. So John, sometimes we talk a little bit about news stuff, and I want to see what you thought of our president's recent post where he depicts himself as a doctor.
It's first of all, that is I do go to a doctor who wears a white robe with a red sash.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Why do I actually believe that? It's some messed up kind of way. I actually believe that.
He's Ayurvedic killer. So it's very Eastern. Yeah. It's a lot of juicing. I love that. So, you and I, we both are not religious people, but I grew up in a very religious part of the country. And it's so fascinating to me that people are shocked by this, right? Because I'm just like, this guy, he put his name on a Bible, right? Like, I mean, why is everybody so? I understand why they're upset. I get it. It's a blasphemy. I think that's the thing happening. But anyway, I think it's funny. What do you think of it? I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody who's new, we are a nonpartisan show, but we will call a spade, and it's you're right. It's on brand. It's certainly on brand. It was weird. It's almost like what blows me away is like, how is there nobody checking like the checks and balances type thing, like saying like, hey, yo, DJT, we don't want to do this. Don't do this one. You're going to piss off people who like you. Why would you do that? It's almost like self-sabotage.
There's no one. I don't think there's anyone checking him. If
there is, that person is very bad at their job.
Yeah, no, I think he's direct. I think he's direct to the public, and there's no filter. And but I will say, it's like, I think history. Again, hate him, love him, whatever. But I think history is going to look back on this time, and we will have the most transparency into this president's thoughts of any president we've ever had.
That is very true.
Because he puts it out there, right? So
that's not necessarily a good thing, but yes.
Historically, it's going to be fascinating.
Well, maybe this is a good lesson that we don't want to know what our president's thinking at all times.
It won't be written history, because again, it'll be after the end of the world. So it'll be an oral history, but people will speak of his text. And,
yes, that is true.
Or his are they text on Truth? I don't know. What do you call True Social? Are they truths?
His truths? His
they're not tweets, right? They're not tweets. They're not texts. Yeah, so I don't know what you call.
Are they still tweets even? Anyway.
Let's
not go down that rabbit hole.
They're X's.
So what do we have a really interesting guest on today. We're going to be talking about the housing market, the struggles in the housing market, why it's so difficult for people, corporations coming in, buying stuff up. Those are things that a lot of people who listen to our show are going to know about, or watch our show are going to know about. What's your, original or initial sort of thoughts on what you kind of read, as you researched this, as you kind of looked into this? Was there anything that shocked you, or did you kind of know a lot of this stuff that was going on?
There was definitely some tax stuff. that I found out about, and we'll talk about it in the show, but there was definitely some tax stuff that some of it I knew about, but others I was just like, you remember we had I forgot the guy we had on who we talked about the stock markets, right? And basically it's kind of the same thing where you can defer taxes forever. And then if you die and leave that property to a family member, they don't ever have to pay those taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, which again, hey, if you're, I think it's great if you're a single family, like if you own like a home and you pass that along to your children, that's a great thing. But that it seems to be that these things never really benefit the majority of society. They just benefit the most wealthy. Was my thing, is what I took away.
Well, that's what this show's all about, damn it. That's what we want to. So we want to talk about.
It's protecting the wealthy.
Yes,
Right.
yes, because they're so fragile.
Yeah. Well, and it's like if they're listening, guys, we're on your side. Just throw some of that 1% money towards us.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden this podcast changes because we can be bought.
We
That's
are
terrible.
For sale.
That's
a big
terrible.
A big number. It's not cheap. Like we're going to be very expensive. $30-$40 at least. So
$30-$40.
Yeah, I mean times are hard, Kevin.
Times are tough.
So how about did you read anything that you were just like, oh wow, I can't believe that this is happening?
Kind of no, which is sad, right? Like, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I was looking into as I researched this and read about it, I mean, and I do, my wife is a realtor, so that kind of helps. I do know a little bit more about this stuff than maybe the average person, and read the news every day, and I kind of see what's going on, and I feel very badly for young people. I feel very badly for the Gen Xers that want to buy a house and can't, and live with their parents till they're 30 and all that stuff. I mean, it's just not ideal. So, well, let's bring on the expert, shall we?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Well, joining us today is John Gravelyn. John is here to help us dismantle the private equity plague currently swallowing the American housing market. We are diving into how housing has been transformed from a place to live into a high-yield financial product for institutional investors. John, welcome.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Good.
Doing great, man. Thanks so much for being here. We're really excited to chat with you. Obviously, you heard what we said in the intro. This isn't really I think most people that would listen to our show know that this is a problem right now. But if you could kind of like summarize it into something sort of digestible for somebody, why is it so hard for a first-time home buyer, for a young person to buy a house right now?
There's a lot of mechanics going on in the market right now, and a lot of different things, from interest rates and really the massive boom during COVID that caused the prices to go up in the first place, and then were artificially driven further up through interest rates, affecting both demand on the investor side as well as the single family side. And while it was very helpful on the single family side, it just blew demand in both ends. And then while the prices never corrected, interest rates went up, and those numbers are extremely sensitive. So as the interest rates went back up, it just made it unaffordable. I mean, really a house that was like $600,000 seemed affordable to a family a few years ago, but now that same house with the interest rates is almost double the cost. Month to month, and it's just a different game than it was.
Yeah. So why do you think that, because it seems like if you drop interest rates, right, that's going to push prices down, because if you raise interest rates, that's going to push prices down, but that doesn't really seem to be the case this time around. Do you know why that is? Like, why are these prices not coming down on these houses?
Because it's certainly pushed demand down a lot. And just like we're talking about, it's a commodity. It's driven by supply and demand, but also those interest rates have kind of created a locked in effect. If you have an interest rate that's 3.5, or maybe even less, you're not moving. So
you got to be real motivated to move.
Yeah. You got to have a real good reason to move right now. And it's just creating kind of this like frozen market. So while demand is certainly down, supply is also down, and it's just kind of created this neutral zone of, honestly, I'm of the opinion that if rates come down too soon, that we could see another 2021 style boom, and then I don't know, maybe a crash after it. It could be. I honestly have the opinion that we're at a fairly healthy state right now, but I'm one of the few that might trust Jerome Powell with that.
Well, and also there's also the idea that, interest rates got so low that now in a way people are almost spoiled, or they think that's going to be normal, but that really wasn't very sustainable, was it?
No, absolutely not. And I think that's the other part too, is you really box yourself in when you keep the interest rates low that long. If you have an unexpected economic disaster or whatever you want to call it, like COVID was, and you need to drop them lower, you can't to stimulate the economy because you're already at the lowest point. So if you have some external effect, there's really nothing you can do. I guess some European countries have gone negative rates. I don't know how that works. It seems mathematically impoable, but they can do it.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah,
I want a
I've
negative.
heard of
I
it.
want to make money.
Yeah, right. No. I think that would go to the oligarch. They only get those ones.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, those aren't for us. But that would drive the consumer interest rate probably down to about 1%.
Wow. Yeah.
So then I'm kind of curious, so we had a huge boom, right, in housing from say about 2001 to about 2007, and then it started cooling off and crashed in 2008. So then what from 2008 until COVID, because it did go up considerably, right? Like, the housing market, and I'm out in California, housing market in California was at its, was basically at like 1990, 1995 levels at 2009. And then it just skyrocketed. So what was driving that? What is driving this market? Is it housing shortages? Is it increase in population? Is it immigration? Is it Kevin? I don't know. Maybe it's you.
Could be.
Yeah, it's really a mixed bag of issues. It's a lot. There's just a lot of friction in the economy as a whole. Certain places see booms and busts, and that's the funny thing about the housing market, right? In California, you're in a market that I really can't even. I struggle to comprehend, and that's almost what kind of floats my opinion everywhere else, is that even as high as Michigan might seem right now, I'm like, well, somehow a normal small house in California is $1 million, so it seems like it's sustainable, but the friction's there that just keeps pushing things up. The cost of labor keeps going up, the cost of materials keeps going up, and really it's just it's a scarce commodity that has infinite demand.
I saw a figure that was I've got it here. The average wealth gap between renters and homeowners is $1.37 million as of 2022. Can you explain what exactly that means?
Well, with the housing market the way it is, and also it's probably at a more inflated period than it should be with the wealth gap, that depending how they're defining it, which is always the trick with whatever you're reading. My assumption is that they're saying that wealth is going to be with home equity. So if you own a house that's worth $800,000, you owe $400,000. So your net worth difference is $400,000 there. And that, I think, is where they're explaining that wealth gap. So when a renter has the money, pays rent, they're paying a landlord who is probably paying a mortgage. However big or small that landlord is. But the homeowner actually gets to retain at least the principal part. It is a very small portion of it, but they at least retain ownership. And I think the main portion is the ownership, because it is an appreciating asset. That's where most of the gains are to be made in the long term. And I'm far from anyone that says that it's going to go up forever, but I personally love being in real estate because that's my number one expense is real estate. So as long as wherever real estate goes, I go, and it just makes, as we're always going to need it, you just kind of ride the wave.
Yeah, and it is a wave.
Yes. Oh, very much. Yeah.
And trade agreements. Do trade agreements have an effect on domestic housing policies in your experience?
Yeah, the Realtor Association and their sorry. Yeah, our the trade agreements, free trade agreements, or are we talking more like realtor trade agreements or
No, like free trade,
Sorry.
yeah, basically free trade in
Oh.
the global market, because and again, maybe like while we were doing this research, we discovered, that some things had changed in trade agreements where it really opened up our housing market to foreign investment in a way that it has never been in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and that also would just go right back to the first principles demand effect there, right? We open up, if we open up investment from other countries and allow for individuals to own more homes as investments rather than as homes, or even as, I've read an article about luxury homes, almost more like a Rolex collection. They'll own a luxury home. It's more of a status symbol. That's like the 0.1% or so. But yeah, allowing all this extra competition doesn't necessarily help the average consumer here.
Right. And what about like institutional investors? So like big, like Blackrock and these like big investment and private equity who are like buying up property. Are you seeing, being that you're, this is what you do for a living, are you getting, like, are your customers losing bids to houses based on the investment and like in private equity?
Not like private equity, not like what you think with big private equity like BlackRock. There is a lot of small and mid-tier investors
Okay.
that do cloud the market and actually probably do more damage as a whole to driving up the market than BlackRock does individually. It's actually a really hard business to scale just because it is so local. It is so variable across markets that Zillow's failed at it multiple times. And I think some of it just comes down to a human touch in real estate that's almost necessary, that you can't, that BlackRock can't optimize. So
Right.
so they don't do well at it. So I guess that's my point is you have to be in the house, right? You have to smell the house. It's really hard to invest in homes that you're not in that market. So as big of a threat as BlackRock is, the smaller private equities, and I mean, I'm talking anyone from a guy that's making $50,000 a year on a few flips to, a guy who's making $50 million a year flipping houses left and right. Those guys in between are probably they're a much larger share than BlackRock is.
Okay. And then what about, I'm kind of curious about that. Like, what about like Airbnbs, and that whole market? Has that also taken houses off the market, or, making a single family home, like competing with those people? Like, has that also been part of the problem?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in trendier cities where the Airbnbs have a much different value proposition, right, than the rent would, right? If you have a city that's got that has no limits on Airbnbs, the prices will go up, and then eventually the market's going to shift towards the housing being saved for people willing to pay $400 a night, not necessarily people willing to pay $1,200 a month. So yeah, that absolutely does it takes a ton of supply out of the market, and there's some regulation that seems to help, but it at the same time it's really hard to see where that regulation is coming from, because is it the hotel lobby, or is it is it real regulation to help out the consumer? Yeah. But the
Right.
Yeah, the Airbnb has been very, very detrimental in a lot of cities to really just kind of sacking the supply, right?
I mean, on a flip side, I mean, we've always been taught, everyone's been taught that best investment you can make is real estate, right? Like that's where you can build wealth. That's where you can, the more you can get assets, you can talk about your net worth, all that kind of stuff. is it one of those things where maybe too many people got involved in that mindset, took that mindset and really ran with it to where we're ending up with a shortage? Obviously, we've talked about things like interest rates and other stuff too that is making it difficult for people to want to sell their homes at the current rate, But do you feel like people wanting to like level up their financial situation is actually causing a problem for young people of being able to afford homes?
Yes, absolutely. Because there's that race. There's almost a race to the bottom with flips that way. That this culture and mindset that it's a great investment, and I do agree that it is a good investment, but that these flips, because there's so many people involved, that they have to take up the starter inventory, and the starter inventory is getting driven up by that, and the starter inventories, it's almost just becoming flipped houses, not necessarily like it's really hard to get your hands on a house that's not flipped. And I think the most concerning part is the flips that I go through that are done just so poorly.
Yeah, so cheaply and quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm like, I wish you would have just left the house I'm in now. I mean, I'm rebuilding it because I wish they would have just left it as it was before they redid it. And that's because there's so much volume. They're taking the margins that people are willing to take to do a whole house flip, just quite frankly aren't worth it anymore in a lot of markets, to a higher end investor. So you won't see like a Blackrock going to compete for a $20,000 flip, right? But there is this mindset now that's driving a lot of other folks into the market. And there's also this there's a major fear in there's a shift in what the starter homes look like. I feel there's a big difference in what is expected out of a starter home now than there was 20, 30, 40 years ago as well. And the inventory is like reflecting that.
What do you mean by that? Like, what is the difference from 30 or 40 years ago?
With the square footage for one, for average homes, and I'm sure builders are not, I'm not saying builders aren't doing this intentionally, but yeah, the square footage on a starter home now is, closer to 1,600 square feet versus 1,000. And I think just people's perception on what a starter home should be is a little different now as well. So it's, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom home is almost unthinkable for your average home buyer, but it's like, sometimes that's the starter home. And I think back to some of the old folks that lived in my neighborhood, and they would buy a home and live there for 50 years, and that was okay. And it was 1,100 square foot home. There wasn't this constant need to upgrade or anything like that. But I think a lot of young folks are coming out of their parents' house in some ways, and after they upgraded 4 times and seeing this is what I get for a third of what my parents' house is worth, and it's just not worth it. But it's not worth it to them, but there's also, some people can see a lot of opportunity there as well in those homes.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, like someone goes from their parents' house to, maybe they go to college and they spend some time in a dorm, and then they go to an apartment for a while, and then they're finally ready to buy a home. And they're like, wait, a starter home in my price range is the same size as my apartment was? Wait, or smaller? How does that work? So I guess you could kind of understand the hesitancy, right? To like, be like, wait, this isn't right. I'm supposed to be leveling up here, and I'm not.
Well, that's 100% the issue. And I felt that so personally when I lived in California for 6 months, was when, I'm leveling up myself personally in life. And it was such a downgrade in housing that I'm like, what am I doing out here? I worked so hard to attain a certain lifestyle, and now I live in an apartment half the size of my last house. That, what am I doing out here?
Right. Yeah.
I think that every day, John. Every day.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's 70 degrees and sunny every day. I do get the appeal. It's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. We very, like, even in the summer, we have hot summers, but even at night it still cools off. If it's 100 in the day, it's going to be like 70 at night, and it's nice. It's fantastic. So yeah. Thank you for reminding me why I live in this tiny apartment.
Like you live in a shoebox.
Yeah. Wait, let me just go to my kitchen here and go to the bathroom there. Yeah. All right, cool.
Yep. Feel that. Oh man.
So John, Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Go ahead. You go ahead, John.
All right. So do you, being with your clientele specifically, are you taking advantage of a lot of 1031 exchange tax advantages, or is that something, because you're dealing with a lot of first-time buyers, that's not really something you're doing that much?
I have not personally dealt with it. I'm pretty well versed in it. I do know how it works. I'm personally more interested in the buyers that I can help get down payment assistance. I think that those programs, as far as government programs, are probably the most helpful to the common person. The 1031 exchanges, no, those are fantastic for mid-level and low-level and high-level home real estate investors, but they can be leveraged to the point where you essentially never pay taxes. You can use the depreciation to write off against your personal income. There's a lot of huge advantages there that owning a lot of real estate can get you, because if you can depreciate the home on taxes, but the homes appreciate in reality. Now there is a recapture mechanism for some of that depreciation, and I'm far from an accountant. Please don't, this no accounting advice by any means, but it's quite a wild system that you can use to build enough real estate to almost never pay taxes, because you're using fake depreciation on an appreciating asset to cross out real income.
Yeah, that's wild.
That is wild. And so what are some of the programs that are available for first-time buyers? Like what are those?
So Michigan's got MSHDA, and a lot of states have very similar programs. I'm not as familiar with those, but MSHDA is around 10 grand down payment assistance for your first home. It's only for time home buyers. I think if you went 7 years without owning a home, you're considered a first-time home buyer. But the money is paid back when you sell the house, and that's the beautiful thing about it is that's what allowed me to get on the housing ladder when I did. Was I got this interest-free loan from MSHDA, and it made up the majority of my down payment, allowed me to, at the time, trade my rent in for a mortgage payment. And by the time I sold the house was worth significantly more. I had put a lot of sweat into it, but it was still worth significantly more. And I just paid the MSHDA loan back and effectively turned like 3 or 4 grand into 100. Like, they're fantastic deals. And
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But now that I'm assuming this would have happened when rates were still low and you're still in a market, because like if you were to do that now, you might end up stuck in a home. I mean, because it doesn't seem that right now, or at least in Los Angeles, homes are not appreciating at the moment.
No, but I've got a funny story, because I did only last 6 months in LA or in Orange County. And when I was moving there, I was disgusted, what I could afford in my budget, which was like $900,000, which was a stretch budget. And everyone told me, wow, good thing you didn't buy that house that you were looking at. And I'm like, no, are you kidding me? I would have made 100 grand in 6 months. Like, no, that was, hindsight, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of that roller coaster of, and being willing to ride that roller coaster and take your own journey on it. I think every host is very unique, and you can do a lot of different things to solve the problems, to get beyond the unaffordability. Then again, it's the down payment does help, and it has gone up since I've used it. But the housing market has gone up a lot more. The problem is just, I think, compounding interest it gets out of hand really fast, or not interest, but compounding interest in general. Housing market goes up by 4 or 5% every year. The incomes go up by 3% every year. And it's diverged to a point that there almost has to be a correction at some point.
Right.
Is that what you feel is one of the biggest problems as far as why housing is so unaffordable, or does it kind of come back to the investment properties and all that? Because I did read a figure that the Realtors Political Action Committee, RPAC, donated $6 million in federal elections and spent basically $51 million in total federal political funding. That seems weird to me. Are they lobbying for better situations for investors, for, you know, to pick up these properties? Because that's kind of what it feels like. Am I right on that, or am I just being overly cynical?
You're being properly cynical.
Properly cynical.
I like that. I like that.
Oh my gosh, that's our new band name, John.
Oh, there we go. I like it. Yeah, properly cynical. I think the mechanisms might be a little different there. But yeah, absolutely, they're buying their senators to get their message across, to keep houses moving. I think velocity of the market is far more interesting to realtors in general than the price point of the market in general. Obviously, no one wants it to crash 50%, but that's one thing I struggle with. The mismatch in general in real estate is the compensation model, right? Is a 3%, let's just say a 3%. The difference in whether you negotiate, you know, another $10,000 off or $20,000 off or up or down, whatever, doesn't do anything really to your commission, but velocity is what matters to the agent. So I think the Realtors Association is more interested in keeping the velocity as high as possible. So probably a lot of those donations are going towards getting interest rates down, more than anything else.
Okay, which is not necessarily a bad thing, I suppose, and in order to get houses moving. But as you pointed out before, that's kind of it's not sustainable.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea, but it would be very good for realtors.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And it would. I mean, I guess it'd be good for our national debt, right? Because we're, you know, the lower the rate, the less we're paying. So that would also be. In that case, we really need to go down to zero. So
we get to get one of those negative numbers he was talking about.
Yeah.
We exactly.
-5. Yeah. So then everybody
no one cares
debt.
about that, right? No.
National
debt. That's not a problem, right?
I don't even understand it. So it's fine.
It's a number so big now that it just can't. It's not even real. It's not a real number.
You can't even wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's a bluff and no one wants to call it. You know?
Yeah. So are you? So let's just talk about, like, in your market. And you said you're in Michigan. Is that correct?
Yes.
So in that market, are you seeing, like, obviously things have slowed down. You said it's kind of a stagnant market, but, you know, are housing prices still going up in your area? Are they coming down? Are they flat? Like, what is, you know, because I know in California, things have actually come down, like, they're, you know, but again, it's a $3 million home that's discounted $150,000. So it's still crazy expensive, you know, but it is coming down. So
I think Michigan is staying pretty flat overall. In some areas it's going up a little bit, some areas going down. I'm more familiar with the Florida market today just because of family there and stuff. I think they're seeing more similar, you know, 10-15% pullback like a lot of California is.
Okay.
But yeah, Michigan's been relatively flat for a couple of years, some minor improvements in different areas. It's just really that starter home spot is just harder and harder. What $300,000 buys you is a lot different than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm in Colorado, just outside of Boulder. You can't even get anything for that. I mean, you know, when people come, you know, my wife will tell me sometimes when, you know, if that people that are in that bracket just don't really have an option in certain areas in Colorado. And at the same time, something that I think is really interesting is that there's so many apartments going up around me, tons and tons of apartments going up. And to me, I mean, obviously they're not going to build them if the demand's not there. So that says that they clearly understand that people can't afford to buy homes. So they're just going to have to keep renting and renting and renting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's part of the system is to build more housing that way. And I don't like the move from ownership that is pushing for more ownership. I think is a good thing. And while having solutions by having more of those apartments, I mean, I see it more in Florida than I do around here. But yeah, the similar concept in a lot of places where there's nothing but apartments going up, or really small single family home. Not small, I shouldn't say. Big single family homes on very small lots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where they're just lined
Yeah.
up, just lined up with 0 yard. And yeah, I've been seeing those too.
Yeah, those have been in California for a long time.
Yeah.
So, like they have for like that's
Yeah, exactly.
they really started building them like about 15 years ago, and they even do a thing out here where they look like they're townhomes, that they're connected, but they're actually technically not connected.
Yep.
But they put like a thing on them that makes them look connected, but there's actually an inch gap between each home, or 2 inch.
Oh yeah,
gap
you could reach across and touch the other person's house from inside your own.
But that way they can sell them as single family homes, but they look like they're condos or townhomes. Yeah, I don't know why they want them to look like that, but yeah. I guess it's the gap is so small you don't want to get spiders. Like, I don't know.
It almost seems like, yeah, just maintaining a gap like that is more difficult. Well, things don't grow out there. It's a desert, but I guess I'm thinking, a more moderate climate with things that would grow up in between the siding and stuff of the house. But
not so much there.
Yeah.
It's
so wild. Yeah.
Is building more affordable homes the answer? I mean, because if they're trying to do that, they're obviously trying to pack them in to get as much value out of their land as possible, which is, it's sad in its own right. But is that the answer to build new homes that can be more affordable?
I think adding a large supply of that can get us there. I'm not sure if the hacking of the average lot size is going to make that big of a difference. But in the end, it can get us there. But it's in the short term, it just adds more noise to it, adds probably more luxury housing, because builders aren't going to be incentivized to ever. That's the other problem with starter houses, isn't just the expectations, but builders aren't building them. I mean, I don't think you can. Tiny homes, but those are trendy because you can build a 100 square foot tiny home and sell it for 50 grand, whereas like a 1,500 square foot new build is going to cost you, like, the margins are a lot better on a tiny home than a 1,500 square foot or a 1,200 square foot home. So those ones are at least a little lucrative, but at the end of the day, there's just there's not very many large builders either, so there's just not much competition in that field, and they have to do what they do to maximize profit. Then is going to be more put more luxury out. Right.
And you mentioned the luxury homes. There's a myth out there, or what I have read is a myth, and maybe you could speak to this, where the idea of building luxury homes is supposed to help because over time they will be, people who maybe can't afford a new luxury home might be able to afford that home down the road, and it's supposed to like filter down and all that, but that doesn't really work like people say, right?
Does it ever? Anything else either? I mean, it sounds familiar, right?
Trickle down economics.
Yeah, obviously there's some things that it does help, but for the most part, no, it doesn't. It just adds more. It induces the demand, and the builders know where they can induce the demand. They're not going to build luxury in central Illinois, like where I was, or even where I am now in central Michigan. They're going to do it in the trendier places where they know that, when they put the more luxury places in, that they're just going to get more people to move there. And that's going to get people to move out of another area, I guess. But at the same time, those smaller areas don't see the relief as much because their houses are already so depreciated, that drawing the people into the different areas doesn't necessarily help anyone. It just hurts people in the existing areas that maybe were there before it was trendy.
Got it. So in your market, so like, what is it that you're your clientele, like, who is it that you're representing, or what is it that you're seeing? What are the people that you're selling to, or that are buying from you? What are they buying right now? Like, what is the thing that is actually, what is moving, I guess, in your state and maybe over the country? What seems to be the price range, or the home size that seems to be not as stagnant?
Anything under 2,000 square feet, right, is um, I mean, that's kind of that affordability range. It's everyone's fighting over the same scraps that are left. So the builders are building 1,700 to 2,000 on average, I'd say.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, that's probably a pretty good average. I mean, that's my house fits into that, and mine's it's not huge, it's not tiny, it's a pretty average sized house, I would say, and I think that obviously makes sense, because that's probably what people want. But I mean, on a larger scale, like, what do you see is the the way to fix this, so that people, so that particularly young people, particularly first-time home buyers, can actually get into this without having to, like, I don't know what they do, borrow money from family,
Sell a
I
kidney?
suppose,
Yeah,
sell a
it's a kid-
kidney.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
because a lot of people coming out of, with a bunch of college debt and all this stuff, so taking on some ridiculous mortgage just isn't really in the cards for them. So what is the answer to kind of fix this and to bridge this gap? Tell me what to do.
Oh yeah, I know. I wish.
Give us the answer to solve all of our problems.
Well, let me ask you. Let me change it to this. What would you like to see?
Yeah.
What would you like to see that you think could move the needle?
I would personally. So I think in one of my first newsletters that I put together, I talked about affordability now, and it being higher than ever, or the myth that affordability is its worst case ever, and Zillow and a lot of places talk about that. And I think we kind of hint on it earlier, at least John hinted on it earlier. The expectations are just so different now, that while affordability is actually at like a 50-year mean, houses are about as affordable as they've on average are over the last 50 years. We were so spoiled for the last 15 years that there's a lot of expectations. So I think while the affordability is back, and there are certain tools that there's not too many tools that we can use to fix it. I guess the narrative I'd like to see is that there's a way that every person can use math, can apply themselves, and learn skills to buy a house, build a house, and improve its value. Not necessarily build a house, but buy a house and improve it, so that they can actually get on this ladder, and that there is a way. It is far. I mean, and this is coming from a guy who got on the housing ladder 10 years ago, and I know it was a lot easier back then.
Yeah,
but
right.
I do feel that the narrative may be pushed a little. It's a good outrage narrative, and I do think that there's a lot of corruption, and there's a lot of things that are pushing it up. But I think that's almost the best thing we can do right now is be slightly optimistic about it and find the opportunity where we can find it.
I mean, I got to say, like, like I told you, like, I got in early, or at least before everything went crazy here in Colorado. My wife and I did. We got very fortunate. We're very lucky. But I mean, the way things are now, I couldn't afford the same house that I did back then. I mean, I just couldn't. And we're fortunate that we've got a lot of equity in our house now and all that. So, it's sort of like a genie's out of the bottle kind of thing, right? Where you can't. It's really hard to go backwards on the value, at least in certain areas. I mean, sure, I could sell this place and go move to rural Nebraska and buy myself something big and fancy and all the stuff, but aside from wanting to do that, there's really not much. You kind of saying that that the young people are, for lack of a better term, kind of fucked on this?
I wouldn't put it that way, but
Okay.
yeah. Every time I look at how I would have done it, I mean, but also, yeah, I was fortunate it's not easy. It's not
There's
easy.
not an easy answer to this problem.
So John,
No.
when you said that the home mean is about the same as it's been for 50 years, are you basically saying that the home prices the national average is equal to what it would have been 50 years ago, accounting for inflation? So basically, what I'm making now is what some would have been, everything being adjusted is basically kind of flat. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's all over the place.
Okay.
It's up and down, and it's actually extremely high in the 80s. Was probably the worst time to buy a house.
Well, and mortgage rates were real high then, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that
My
was,
parents,
exactly.
Yeah, my parents, I think they had an 18% loan.
Yeah, like it was almost like 20 for a lot of people.
It was cheap, and that was a cheap loan when they had it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, their house was $95.
They traded a couple of chickens and one of the kids for it. Luckily for John, it wasn't him.
Yeah. Well, they didn't trade it, my brother. He just had to cut grass for 16 years. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I always get that confused.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
No, absolutely. The times have changed, and it's just, yeah.
It's tough, man. I mean, I feel, again, I said this at the start of the show. I said this in our pregame chat. It's hard for people. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. I mean, the affordability, it's that the incomes actually have come up a lot over the last few years that have helped that affordability metric. Now, whether or not that's really encompassing real income and whatnot, and what, people that are out of the labor force and other things that are going on. But when you compare incomes to mortgage rates, that as an mortgage payments, an average mortgage payment for the average house, that over 50 years has remained relatively flat.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Well, I wish we had better news for you young people out there.
Yeah. Best I can offer is apply yourself and
learn how to build a house.
What was the senator or congressman who just basically told his constituents to get another job? God, who do you know what I'm talking about? There was who was that guy? So just take that advice, kids. Just get another job. You have 2 jobs, just get a 3rd job. If you have 3 jobs, don't sleep.
Your generation's so lazy. Get 4 jobs.
Get 4 jobs. And you're welcome for that big ass national debt. So
well, as John and I always say, there's always OnlyFans.
Yeah, exactly. So John, do you have anything that you'd want to add that we haven't talked about, or anything that?
No, yeah. I mean, I know the message is bleak, but to the young people out there, I mean, it's you can find a way. It's not easy, and just don't expect anything to last forever. So as bad as things might get right now, they'll get better, they'll get worse. It's not much we can do about it right now.
But it does sound like there's a lot of there's programs available for first-time buyers.
Yes,
there are.
That is something that is an upside.
Absolutely. Take advantage of those if you can. Work with realtors, work with whoever you can to help you find those programs, because there's a lot of different programs for a lot of different folks. Veterans have great programs, a lot of 0 down payment programs for them. But first-time home buyers apply to just about any home buyer, at least in the state of Michigan, any first-time home buyer. So there's no special qualifications. There are some income limits. They don't want someone making $500,000 a year to take these. But that I think is the best way to get on it. Stay optimistic. Not everything with the house is the end of the world. There's going to be some things that you'll fix over time, but I think ownership is still a good thing for the average American.
Hey, a couple weeks ago, my water heater blew and rained water into my crawl space. So maybe think about whether you want a house. That's something to consider too. It's considered too. And also on a plus side, I will say when I bought my house, and I don't know that this is a thing for everybody, but I was able to pull, because I was a first time home buyer, I was able to pull out $10,000 from my retirement, penalty free, tax free, as a perk as a first time home buyer. So for anybody out there that look into that, if you've got a retirement plan through your work, it's not ideal to pull from your retirement, but if you're young and you're gonna, presumably gonna be working for a while, 10 grand is not that big of a deal if it can get you started. So there's also that. John Gravelyn, how can people reach you if they want to learn more?
I've got my new website just set up today and loaded for mobile use. So the FPP partners, the fppartners.com, or find me on LinkedIn. I'm always on there, and that's my primary socials. So that's how you get hold of me.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, John. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. Next week, we're going to be joined by Bridget Myers and John Lebke from the Colorado Forward Party. If you listen to our previous episode, we chatted with John Goodwin, who's the National Communications Director for Forward. Now we're going to get real local. We're going to talk about the grassroots politics and how third parties can score victories at the local level to help build a national presence. So don't miss that one. Thanks everyone for joining us today. John Banks, always great to see you. John Gravelyn, thank you so much for giving your time to us and for giving us some info. And we'll thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you later.